my channel. I hope you're all doing good. Now, today I've got a very exciting guest. I mean, I've spoken to some amazing people, but this one is definitely one of the most I'm excited for. So, Saeed, thank you so much for coming on my channel. I know you're very busy as well, and it's honestly an honor to have you on. You're like a legend in the YouTube community world, and
Thank you.
yeah, I'm just so honored to have you on. How are you doing today?
No, thank you. Honestly, appreciate you having me on. I know you have a lot of interviews. I've watched them, Cecil and Robbie and a couple of others. So I've been there checking it out. So now I appreciate you having me on. And yeah, like I said, it's been a crazy journey. I'm sure we're gonna get into it. But
Yeah.
now, thanks for having me on. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, hopefully Sophie can get to 100K one day. That's the aim. That's
I
the
love
aim.
that. Yeah. I mean, do you know what? I think with YouTube, like, I remember like when I first hit 1K, that felt a lot. And I always say to
Yeah.
people, imagine 1,000 people in a room. It's a lot of people.
It's a lot. It is a lot.
Exactly.
It
So you
is a
shouldn't
lot.
ever underestimate that. That's a lot of people. It's still a good goal. But um obviously you've recently hit 100K and obviously that is absolutely amazing. I feel so proud of you because
You.
I know you've done it for quite a long time and it's not just happened overnight. You've had to really work hard for that. But
Mm.
obviously when you reached that, how did it feel like when you first started out? Did you ever imagine you would ever hit 100K?
I didn't imagine I would even hit 1K, let alone
Yeah.
100K. You know what I mean? Like when because you like you said, I think for me that was the biggest excitement and achievement for me was reaching
Yeah.
1K, because like that was something that I never thought that I could reach. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And then you get 1K, then you get to 2K quickly, and then it kind of just, you know what I mean? Then you get to 10K, and that was solid. And it just kind of went from that. And then you kind of just building and building and building. And then you get to 100K. Like when I was on like 94, 95, that's when I got a bit like very kind of like, when you get a bit
Yeah.
not annoyed, but like you get a bit itchy, you're like, "Oh, please get me to 100K, get me there." But we got there in the end, and it's like when I actually got it, I had no signal, and then when I came out the actual venue that I was in, my phone just started just blowing up like constantly, and I was like, "What's going on here?" Like something happens. It transfer news, but it was like, "Saeed, you hit 100K." So it was like, honestly, it was amazing, but and it just feels like a privilege to know that 100,000 people are following you. It's
Yeah.
amazing. So no, I appreciate it and thank you honestly for having me on and just showing my journey and whatnot. So it is amazing. It is amazing, honestly. Like it feels a privilege,
Yeah.
and I love that the fact that it feels a privilege rather than because some people can get it straight away and da 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 and they might not have to work hard for it, but I have had to work hard for it. So
Mhm.
it's been a privilege to kind of be in this position.
Yeah,
So
I think as well, like when you watch YouTube, like before I ever started my own channel, I used to watch other channels like AFTV and a few others, and it actually felt like easy. But when you're actually doing it and you're working hard, it's so tough. Like you don't
mm,
realize what work sort of goes into being doing YouTube. I mean, as well, everyone sort of has their own schedule, but as well, if you're doing videos a few times a week, if you have a job, it's kind of hard to balance that. So I think it's amazing to sort of see how far YouTube has come. I just wanted to say a big up to a few people who have joined. Big up
big up
Rush, big up
Rush.
Reggie, and what an achievement, Saeed. We're all proud of you, definitely.
Thank you.
Um, and if you do have any questions, guys, we will answer them as well. But I wanted to actually start off. Hopefully, people get to know you a bit more as well. But I wanted to sort of know your journey becoming a United fan, sort of how that
Yeah.
started. If you have any like sort of favorite players or memories growing up.
You know what's mad? Like majority of my family is City fans. But obviously my oldest brother was a City fan and he tried to convince me to be a blue. But like back in the days, it was hard to watch
Yeah.
foot it was on Sky. Not a lot of people had Sky, not a lot of people had the privilege of watching Sky. So I got the honor of getting access to it by my uncle. My uncle was like, "Come down, we're gonna watch the big game, Arsenal versus United." Funny enough, and it was the game where I think we drew 1-1. Thierry Henry got the volley over the keeper, and I was like, "Wow, this is amazing!" This, and I said to myself, "Right, cool." I just something about the team, Roy
Mhm.
Keane, Andy Cole, York, Beckham. Like I was just excited about this team, like the way they played Fergie, like, and then because he was such a big kind of United fan, he every week we'd go around there to watch the big games. And the more I kept going, the more I kept fell in love with United. And I literally watching it myself. And yeah, so I put this down to my uncle to be a United fan, and him,
Yeah.
kind of take him to my to watch United. And then obviously go to my first game ever in 2004, Wayne Rooney, the hat trick against Fenerbahce. And yeah, ever since then, I just loved United, like just ingrained in me, like, like United. And like I said, I could have easily been a City fan, had
Yeah.
depressive early childhood, but then maybe having a perfect adulthood, it could be different. But I think for me, I just love the fact that United at the time were a club that were based on a lot of history and a lot of, a lot of, what I mean, young players coming through, local Manchester lads as well, in Gary Neville. And yeah, so like, all of that kind of like made me like want to kind of, watch United even more. So that was amazing for me, you know.
I love that because I mean, when I speak to people, they always say, "Oh, my dad supported, the team," and I love that. I mean, for me, I sort of live near sort of like Liverpool. I'm not actually far from Manchester, but um,
Okay.
so I always feel like it's sort of nice not having a typical story of my dad's, an Arsenal fan.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's so hard because my family are all Liverpool fans, so
Oh, wow.
whenever Arsenal play Liverpool, it feels like I want us to beat them even more. It's like one of those games where I just, I love playing against Liverpool, but yeah, it's so nice to hear your story as well because I mean everyone's stories are so different, but I think it's so special. I mean, I always love teams that have that history tradition like United, Liverpool. I mean, we always see about Man City how they've just, brought their success, but, they are a
Mm,
very successful team, but I quite like a team that's, always been around and always had that history, which I
mm,
think, even Arsenal United have that rivalry. I think it makes it so special because we've always been at the top, and I know United obviously have struggled recently, but I feel like United will always be a big club like Arsenal and Liverpool. So I absolutely love that story. And obviously with YouTube, I feel like when I started watching maybe 10 years ago, it was big then, but now
mm.
there's so many content creators. I think
So
it's so
many.
amazing. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, Arsenal United, I feel like they're really big for content creators. Like, there's so many. But for you, when you started about 6, 7 years ago, what sort of inspired you? Did you just feel like I want to get, I want to get my opinions out there? Or what sort of inspired you to start your own channel?
I think for me, I don't know if you know SE Dons, but like they're like a YouTube football team. Um, that basically just talk about, like, they do Sunday League, but it was
Yeah,
more like the way they kind of brought the community in, and they kind of told their story, and they kind of, like, just in general, like the way they were putting out content. I loved it. I loved it. So I got inspired by it. And I just said to myself, you know what? I love talking about football. My mate was like, why don't you just, do
yeah,
YouTube? And I was like, nah, not for me, man, not for me. And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, you know what? Just set up a channel and let's do it. And I couldn't. The maddest thing is, I couldn't think of a channel for time. I must have
yeah.
drafted about 1,000 names, and
Me
then I
too
got,
as well.
yeah, like, and the easiest one could have been the name that I got right now, but for some reason,
Yeah,
I didn't think it was worthy enough of a name because at the time it weren't really names that were kind of made. It was AFTV, you had United
yeah,
Stand, you had United, you had Stretford Paddock. Like, it wasn't like names, at that time. It was more so like the brand, and Arsenal Fan TV, you know what I mean? Like, so I just said to myself, it don't make sense having Saeed TV. So I said to myself, okay, cool. I'm gonna say it's United Central,
yeah,
because it's like centered towards United. So then I was like, cool, we'll do this channel. And then I made it, but I only made it for vlogging purposes so I can vlog the games because I had a season ticket, and I thought, cool, let's vlog the games. Let's just interact with the fans. And then I started to produce podcasts. I started to do videos.
yeah.
And then I kind of just got better and better at what I did. So yeah, no, I think for me, the journey at the start was quite easy because I just did it with my day job. I didn't really just kind of like have it as a full-time employment, which I do now. Beforehand, it was just a little side hobby, side kind of quest, and see where it goes. But yeah, it's funny because at the start, was probably the most enjoyable because like you don't have to stress about the daily
Yeah.
matters of like football. Like now, I've got to fully invest. I might be at on a in a party, and then I see news. What's going on here, etc., etc. You know, so it is funny. It is a funny one. It's a funny one.
Yeah, do you know what? I found out with the name because at the time, my family do love football, but obviously because I'm an Arsenal fan, they didn't sort of understand my passion as much as like people do online.
Yeah,
So I thought, "Do you know what? I'm gonna get create a channel, and I honestly couldn't think of the name because I wanted to think something that was sort of original, but at this time, like 3 or 4 years ago, there's so many Arsenal fan channels I actually could not think.
yeah,
So I pretty much my dad and brother helped me, but that's probably one hard thing about making your own channel because you've got to sort of do content that's sort of not to copy people all the time. I think it's good to sort of use other people's ideas as well, but
yeah, yeah,
you've
yeah.
got to be
Absolutely.
original, which I think is hard because like I said, Arsenal fan channels, United fan channels, Chelsea fans anyway. There's so much similar content and it's hard to sort
Mm.
of do your own thing, isn't it? But I think with you it's great as well because watch alongs for me have grown massively. I mean, we've seen it with, Mark Goldbridge, AFTV, but I think what I love about watch alongs is they're very authentic and you can just be yourself,
Yeah.
interact with the community. It's
That's
amazing,
what I
isn't it?
like as well. I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm very authentic. Like, I don't really like what you see is what you get with kind of
Yeah.
me. You know what I mean? You'll see me angry, you'll see me happy, you'll see me. Yeah, I have like I'm a regular fan that's got a
Yeah.
channel, and that's why people are quite connected with me in the sense of like they feel like I'm genuine, and they can, they feel like I'm just a normal fan like them, and and it represents the people, it represents the fans. So I feel like for me, that's what it's about. You can't have a channel that I don't really subscribe to channels that I can't relate to. Like
Yeah.
I might like the content, but for me, I might not like subscribe or like, I don't feel like I'm involved in a sense. You know what I mean? So like with my channel, like people feel involved, and I make sure that the community feel involved in the channel. It's
Yeah.
not just a one-way thing. On a channel, it has to be a two-way thing. It can't just be a one-way thing for me, personally, anyway.
Yeah, I think like you said, there's so many out there, but I think as well, if you ever people that might be watching this that have a channel, want to start a channel, I think you've just got to be yourself,
Mm.
stay true to yourself, and yeah, I think I do love interacting with other people on here because it's so nice. I mean, it doesn't bother me if you're a Spurs fan, United fan. I think it's just about helping each other and having those conversations in football, which I think is absolutely amazing. I've got actually a question here for you from Doug. Who is Seed's favourite United player currently and favourite of all time?
So, favorite of all time is behind me. I don't know if you can see it there.
Yeah,
Paul Scholes. He's just for me like a dynamite. He's just a unbelievable midfielder. Like when I was playing in school, like I just wanted to play like Paul Scholes, just ping it, left and right, like shoot like Paul Scholes, and whatnot. So like I feel like for me, it's one of them where Paul Scholes was my proper like inspiration when I was growing up. And favorite player right now, I'd say probably Kobe Mainu, Kobe
yeah,
Mainu right now. I think for me, he's the one that's represents, especially Manchester. He represents a lot of he plays football with a smile on his face, and he plays football with true joy. So yeah, I'd say Kobe Mainu for me. And it's funny enough that both of them born in Manchester as well. So it's a funny story, that one, isn't it?
I
You
love
know?
that. It's nice to hear your story about that, and thank you so much, Doug, for your question. And I wanted to sort of go into YouTube because obviously you've been doing it for a while, and I sort of want to sort of know your journey, like I suppose your up and downs. I mean, for me as a
Yeah.
YouTuber, I think you're gonna have to accept, people won't always like you. People will always have things to say, especially when someone like you, you've had a lot of success as well. 100K is a lot, and you've met so many incredible people. But I suppose how have you sort of dealt with some setbacks if you've ever had any negativity, trolls, or hate?
Yeah, I've had a fair few. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna lie to you. In terms of negativity, it's one of them where I just try and focus on the love. Big
Yeah,
up Julio. I
yeah,
try and
big up.
focus on the love, because like for me, it's one of them where I always believe in life is like you could either focus on the love or you can actually focus on the hate. Which one are you gonna invest your energy in? I always think there's always 98% love. You're gonna
Yeah,
get 2% hate. Like if you focus on that 2%, it will literally ruin you. But if you focus on the 98% love, then you know what I mean? It's all about perspective in life, you know, and the grand scheme of things. Like when I'm out and about, I don't really tend to get, I mostly get love out there. It's just social media because I feel like with
yeah,
social media, it gives people an alter ego and it feels like, you know, you're kind of writing stuff behind on your phone. You don't necessarily have a camera. You don't necessarily know who they are. It's easy to send that message across. Um, and instead, and I just think for me, you know, in terms of like messages on Instagram, I don't really just open them. I just kind of
mhm,
leave them where they are and just delete. So it's all about the person. Not everyone is strong, which is
yeah,
something that you know um, we have to consider as well. But in terms of the actual feeling amongst like myself, it's like I just try and focus on the love. Like especially the chat right now,
yeah,
there's a lot of love. And just focus on that because right now, you know, it's all good, and you could easily that your day could be ruined by one comment who said your
yeah,
content is rubbish. And it's like, why would I need to let that go into my head when the whole of the day has been positive? Like the whole of the day has been positive. So I just love that, in terms of, trying to understand that. And I've learned that over the years. It's not been a quick one, but I've learned over the years to just have that, in me, that just toughness, but
yeah,
also just understanding that there's gonna be hate comments when you start you there
mm,
is that kind of balance of what, it's not all gonna be positive as well. You are gonna get a minority, and just understand that what, you got this.
yeah. I think when you put yourself out there, you're gonna have to accept that not everyone like you, and you won't be everyone's cup of tea. I think that's fine. I think as well with football Twitter, it can be very toxic.
Yes.
It's very weird. It's sometimes like an amazing place to be, and then
Yeah, I
sometimes it's
know.
the worst. Yeah, it's bad at times, but I think, like we said, I think you've just got to sort of focus on the positivity, but it can be hard as well because
It can
someone
be.
could,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's tough as well because if you get so many nice comments and you get one bad one, as humans, we sometimes focus on that bad one because it might stand out a bit more. But I think when you do YouTube, I think you've just got to stay positive, focus on your family or those that are
Mm.
supporting you. And I've actually got a really good question actually here. What was the family's reaction when you started YouTube?
You know what? It was actually quite good, Like they were just kind of like, like cheering me on and that, and like they were happy, and
Yeah,
obviously they'd get asked the questions and whatnot. I seen your son on YouTube, what's he doing? Da, 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 da. But once I
yeah,
kind of explained it was about football, my dad kind of understood it made sense because he was like, you're talking
yeah,
about football all the time in the house. You keep like we'd have our friends around, we'd have a debate in the house, and then my dad and mum would be like, calm down, keep it quiet. Da, da, da. We have sleepovers and that. So it kind of
yeah,
made sense. So my dad was kind of like new. My mum was like, "Oh, what's this YouTube?" She was a bit apprehensive about it all, but at the same
yeah,
time, like it's one of them where they understood it. They understood why I did it, and especially right now when I can give back and I can help them out and I can sort them
yeah,
out with things and whatnot. It does make a difference, but yeah, like the journey of it, they've been very very supportive. Anything that I needed, like even space. Like I remember when I was filming, I actually started filming in my house, and my house is loud. Like you know what I mean, and like certain times, my dad would just walk in the room when we're losing, and like I remember there was a watch along against Leicester. My dad just dropped in. The Wi-Fi wasn't working. I was so angry. I was like, "Dad, what's going on with the Wi-Fi?" He was like, da da da, and etc. etc. And yeah, like it was one of them where like he's been supportive over the years, and they've all been supportive, and they love it. So yeah, it's amazing. It is amazing. So can't thank them enough.
That's
Big up
really
to them.
nice. Yeah, I mean, for me, like, I love how people have a proper YouTube setup, and I'm literally doing it in my room, man. My room's a mess right now, but it's quite, yeah, I find it really interesting hearing about that. It's so weird because my grandparents absolutely love that I do this, but it's weird, like when I speak to people like yourself in the YouTube world, I feel fine about it, but when people outside of the YouTube world talk to me about it, I get a bit embarrassed at the fact that I do this. It's quite strange, but it's also nice that we can all understand what we all go through, like with people if they're not nice, or just doing what we love. But it's so nice to have people around you that do support you. And I think as well, when you first start off, you're not going to have amazing technology, because I remember my first ever video, like, I used my phone at the time. My phone, the quality wasn't amazing, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I start with my phone as well. I start with my phone as well,
yeah,
like, because and I think that's a journey, like, you start off your phone. I remember I used to record the podcast on my phone.
yeah,
Big up Brian. Honestly, I
yeah,
record the podcast on my phone, and that was it. You have to start off slow. Then I bought my
yeah,
first tripod. I must have gone through about 1,000 mics. Like that's probably the biggest kind of stumbling block for me. Was not the
yeah.
visuals, it was more the audio. Kind of getting the right mics, then the mic wouldn't work, and then people say, "Oh, the sound's not great," etc., etc. And it's like,
Yeah,
you
it's so
know,
hard to get it right. Honestly, I'm the same. Like, I've had so many different microphones, and there's been times as well where I've got different webcams off the internet, and some of them have just been crap. And that's how you learn, because you've got to sort of. I think it depends, obviously, what everyone's budget is when they're starting off. But I think if you're just able to get
mm,
something that will improve the quality, I think that's good. But it's nice always looking back on, like, your first video you've done, and look at you now. It's so nice. I mean,
yeah,
I wanted to just touch on stuff. I mean, you did mention before, obviously sometimes you get recognized, like games,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
if you think about it, you're respected a lot on YouTube, on social media. But like you said before, you're just a United fan that loves the club, and
yeah.
it must be, like, so crazy, because I remember once I went to an Arsenal game and someone knew me, and I thought, like, "What?" Like, it must be, like, such a sort of nice feeling, but maybe a bit strange, because you just you're yourself, and you're just a big United fan at the end of the day.
Mm. You know what it is for me? It's like I always have to pinch myself because I'm like, I'm a fan,
Yeah,
Sophie. So it's like, when you just like you're doing content and you're like, but like I just, you're getting photos taken of you, etc., etc. And it's like, but
yeah,
like, I'm a fan. I'm one of you guys. But I'll have conversation in Asda. I'm trying to do my shopping, and then I'll have a conversation over there, and it's like,
yeah,
it is kind of humbling though as well to understand
yeah,
that like people like they wanna like they support you, they watch you. Like I remember there was one time when I seen a guy watching me in a coffee shop, and it was surreal. Like imagine if someone's watching you, or I'll be going to this shop here,
yeah,
and then I'll be walking to Aldi and be like, I've just literally just watched you right now. I've just been watching you. And I'm like, yo,
yeah.
I mean, like, what's going on here? You know what I mean? It's crazy. It's
It's
crazy.
it's so crazy, but like you said, it's nice knowing that you've reached out to so many, a big audience like that big, and it's nice as well. I think it's always nice when it's not just like Arsenal fans for me that interact. It's nice to have global fans,
Yeah,
different types of, Spurs, whoever. It's just nice as a community that we're definitely helping each other. And yeah, I absolutely love that. I
right.
think
That's my
it's
friend. Don't worry about it.
don't worry. Yeah. I'm just gonna read some comments because everyone's going crazy.
Yeah,
Apparently
what's going
Sancho
on?
to
What's
Chelsea.
happening with Sancho?
If that is actually happening, that is
That's
mad. But
crazy. Is that
it's
something official or is it just
I
a
don't know.
paper
Let me
talk?
check.
Because I
Guys,
don't know.
let us know, because today is
Yeah.
a crazy day. Me
Today's a
for us.
crazy day. I don't know
Oh,
what to believe. I don't know what to believe.
I know it's. Oh, apparently Fabrizio has tweeted something. So,
Oh, I
oh,
see, I see, I see.
big up
But we
Sunshine.
can park that off for now, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's just selfie time, you know what I'm saying?
No, don't worry, it's fine. Do you know what it is for me today? Ramsdale has left, and I'm thinking, like, inside I'm sad, but then I'm
Oh,
thinking
bless
he
you.
has
Yeah,
to go.
Ramsdale's gone.
Yeah, for me, he had to go. Like, do you know what? I think he's got in a way to be selfish and do what's right for him in his career. So I'm pretty much happy for him. But yeah, to those that are watching this as well, do send us in some questions as well. To
Yeah.
ask Saeed
Big
or
up
myself.
Sunshine as well. She's
Yeah,
amazing.
Sunshine is a real one. She's so lovely. I had her on my channel the other day, and yeah, it went so quick I could literally speak to her
Yeah.
all day.
Yeah, she's
Um,
proper
I'm
nice.
glad you're big up comment. Glad you're enjoying this interview as well. I got a question here. My thoughts on Sterling. I don't know actually. Um,
Yeah.
I think we do need a backup, because we're getting rid of players, but we're not really bringing anyone in. I
Yeah.
think I'm open to it, but it doesn't excite me. Like, I'm not. you know. But yeah, it's going to be interesting as well, sort of what does happen in the transfer window today. It's absolutely crazy the last day. But I wanted to touch on as well, sort of like the positives of you sort of doing your channel because I
Yeah.
think we spoke about like most of the time, there will be so much positivity, there will be a lot of love there. But what would you sort of say your best sort of moments are from doing YouTube? If there's like sort of one that stands out, whether that's sort of like an opportunity you did or someone that you've met that you've really loved?
Um, yeah, I think I've been allowed to work close with YouTube in terms of like directly.
Yeah,
I've done some kind of talks with YouTube and stuff like that. That's been a good thing as well, that I've been allowed to connect with YouTube, go to little events here and there. That's been a very, very good thing of mine. Um, and also, just to kind of like just that the fact that it's allowed me to be a full time on YouTube. Like genuinely, like imagine having this as your full time job, something
yeah,
that you love in terms of like you could do like it's not a 9 to 5. And I've been there before with the 9 to 5s.
yeah,
I've been, I was a teacher and etc. etc. Like the fact that I can call this my job is, I think that's probably the biggest kind of thing for me.
yeah,
Like genuinely, like the biggest thing for me, like the fact that I can call it an actual job. And I don't really see it as a job. I just see it as
yeah,
something that I love, and the fact that I can be balanced and I can enjoy my life as well. And I would go to New York with Big Six and stuff like that, and LA. I just come back from LA, the actual tour. So like it's amazing the fact that I can go in these places, and it's a privilege. I keep saying it's a privilege because not everyone can get the opportunity, and I understand that and have to remain humble.
yeah,
So yeah, I think for me, it's that's probably the biggest blessing that I can earn an income from this, and it's something that I love doing as well. So yeah, and then obviously just to generally
yeah,
meeting people, subscribers, little deals that you get through it and
yeah,
whatnot. But yeah, like it's more the community you build is probably the biggest thing for me. Like the community you can build on this is amazing, like genuinely
yeah.
amazing. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting because I suppose when you first start, like on your phone, and how you go through that, you never sort of imagine things like this could happen. So
Mm.
I think YouTube is definitely an amazing way to connect with the community as well. I think it's just nice to help each other with that. And I wanted just to ask you this, say, did you meet Rance through YouTube or did you know him before that?
No, it's through YouTube. Yeah, through YouTube. He used to come to the games, and then obviously we are doing content and whatnot together. So yeah, it was through YouTube. Like I knew of his stuff beforehand because he was
Yeah,
doing a lot of big stuff, on BBC and Vice. So I knew of him, but just never met him.
yeah,
So, and I didn't know he did United content. It was more for other sort of content that he was doing. But yeah, he was quite known, to be fair, Rant. So yeah, big up to him. He's been a massive kind of inspiration as well in what I've been doing, and just in general, like he's been a proper guy, like solid guy. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Proper, like helps these people. You know what I mean? Like he's a real one, as they say.
Yeah, I think I love those YouTubers as well that do come on your channel and have that time because I always think, people are busy and it's just really nice to, I
Yeah.
mean, like when I interviewed Robbie, like I remember emailing him and thinking it probably won't happen, but he literally spent an hour talking to me and it's just those small things that you sort of remember when you're sort of growing as a YouTuber. And I think you sort of remember these people that helped you along the way. And I think that's so, so special. And yeah, I think that's obviously amazing. But obviously you've spoken to a lot of amazing people as well. If
Mm.
you had to sort of pick someone that you've interviewed that you felt like maybe they're the best person you've spoken to, it could be like another YouTuber, could be whoever you
Mm.
want.
Um, I'd have to say I don't think necessarily like an interview, but like I
Yeah,
feel like the collaborations I built over the years have all been equally as good. But I think what it has given me, I think that's the best thing. The friends along the way, like I
yeah,
can call them my people. Like, and this is why for me, it's like the journey for me. That's been the kind of biggest thing for me, like growing and building like real people that you can like actually say they're friends offline, like, and not
Yeah.
many can say that, So I wouldn't necessarily say there's like a particular
Mhm.
person. I just feel like it's just the overall kind of feeling of like
Yeah.
what you've built, and people respect it and people want to jump on his channel, people want to collaborate, and and obviously when you go abroad and overseas, it's like people recognize you for your content. It's like that's the bit now where I can go out there and confidently put out and showcase what I need to do and stuff like that. So like
Yeah.
that's a big blessing for me, proper
Yeah.
proper big blessing for me, like generally.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. I know as well you go on the Big Six, you're regular on there. And I've got a question actually here for you. The Big Six crew come across as high school mates. How tight are you guys when cameras aren't rolling?
Yeah, we're cool. Honestly, like when we went to America, we lived with each other for a week. It's amazing. Like genuinely, it's amazing. And I feel like for me, it's one of them where, we've done this for I
Yeah.
think 4 years now, 4 years, and it's like we're family, we're all family, man. We could all have a go at each other, but we also can just
Yeah.
chill and relax with each other. So like, it's cool, like proper, like bros. That's what we are, man, and it's
Yeah.
amazing. And like I said, off camera, it's probably the same.
Yeah.
It's still the banter. If we'd got the actual, sometimes the best footage is when it's off camera.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's that's the best footage for me personally, anyway.
Yeah, I know, it's funny, like, I mean, I watched an AFTV video and I remember Cecil fell off a chair and I thought, imagine if that these things would happen off air,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
you
yeah,
don't
yeah.
see it. But yeah, it's hard as well because things that funny things will happen off air and then you don't see it. But yeah, I think it's amazing that you guys have got that connection. Like you
Yeah,
said as well, you can give it to each other and not be too
yeah,
serious. And like, it's just all fun and games. Like, it's just nice to have those connections. I think that's amazing. I think that show is amazing. So many people love it, and it's yeah, I love that as well. I mean, for you personally, obviously, like we said before, you've hit 100K on YouTube, which is
thank
amazing.
you.
But a lot of people have asked me this in the comments. But what would you say is sort of next for you? Have you got any new goals, or are you just going to continue sort of doing your thing?
I think obviously I want to try and get to that 200K. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It says I'm predicted to get there in 2026, but I don't know. You never know. Things
yeah,
can happen in
exactly.
that time. But I think for me, it's like it's just continuing. What you did, obviously elevating and obviously leveling up. That's the main thing I want to do. I want to do level up everything that I do now. I think now 100K, I can't maybe do the same things I did beforehand. So I've got to level up in that regards. But ultimately, I think it's more or less the same attitude, the same consistency, the same motivation, the same discipline. Like all of these things have to remain the same. They're the kind of almost the constants. They're the ones that are just, they remain there for me. But then everything else, you kind of upgrade in that aspect. So like, yeah, I think for me, it's like I just want
Mhm.
to reach new heights, reach new goals, and just keep on, showing that it is possible to reach your goals. Like I never, honestly, never in a million years would I think I would be on 100K subscribers, like genuinely. Like, and it just for me, if I could do it, like genuinely, people can do it. It gives everyone that inspiration to say, you know what, it might take a while, it might take you time, but hard work, dedication, you will get there. Anything is
Yeah,
possible in life, with hard work and dedication, like genuinely. So, like,
yeah.
never give up, never give up, never give up.
Yeah, like you said, because like when you start, I mean, like we said, a few thousand subscribers is actually a lot. And I said to Saeed Affair, if you imagine 1,000 people in a room with you, it's a lot of
Yeah,
people. And
it's
I
a
think,
lot.
yeah, and I think, whether that's 1,000 likes you get or 1,000 subscribers, like that is an amazing goal to reach. And I think, nothing is impossible because. One day I could be sat here and reach a great goal, but I think as well, I think it's so important to even though subscribers are amazing, but like you said, it's sort of like the journey, the people you meet, the community, and I think that's obviously so important. Like the people you get to speak to, and people that support you. I think that's one of the best things about doing YouTube as well, having those connections. But yeah, I think it's a real privilege to be able to do YouTube and to meet the people that you do get to meet. I mean, YouTube is obviously amazing. I just wanted to ask you before we do around the shop in about 5 minutes. If you could sort of give any people advice if they wanted to sort of do their own channel, whether that's football or whatever it is, what sort of advice would you give to them?
Biggest thing for me is stay consistent.
Yeah,
Don't fall off. Because for me, you never know what happens until you know. I always get people saying, "Oh, but I'm not getting this, I'm not doing that." You've got to be consistent because the
yeah,
day that you leave your channel is the day that another person will grow theirs,
yeah,
and someone they'll it's a domino effect. They'll move over to another channel. So that's one thing, right? The second thing for me is believe in yourself. Like I feel like everybody's got their own value. Like everybody's got their own personality. We're all unique in our own different ways. Um, and the third thing for me is always try to maybe do something different. You know, I think a lot of time now, if I'm being honest with you, YouTube is getting a little bit saturated. So it's like,
yeah,
what can you offer differently? What is it that you're providing different that the regular other the person isn't? You know, and find your niche. You know, not everybody has to be the same. Like we don't all have to do content in the same way. That's what I'm
yeah,
thinking for my now for 100K. I think I want to now pioneer something that I don't think has happened in YouTube. I don't know what it is, but I'm thinking of something where, you know, people have not they don't know about it, but they will get to know about it. And I just think for me, that'll be a big thing for me to kind of, you know, do and whatnot. Like, can I do something different? You know, and if I can, that would be amazing. Jelly the jelly would be amazing.
yeah. I think that's obviously good advice, and I think the consistent thing is so important because I think if you're a channel that uploads like once a week, you've got to maintain that. But like you said, if you're a channel that usually uploads a few times a week, you've got to sort of stay with that, so sort of people know what to expect from you. And like you said, this the YouTube world, like football world, is obviously it's so lovely to see so many YouTubers, but like you said, it's very busy. There's so many different people to
Yeah.
watch, so I think that's what's good about being original and trying to think of other ideas that people might not have done yet. And I think that's so hard because, like, for me, I love chatting after the game or doing previews, and I know so many people do that as well. But like you said, I think you've just got to be yourself. To those that do want to create their own channel, always be yourself. And yeah, stay true to who you are as well. But Saeed, it's honestly like been an honor to have you on.
No,
I
thank you.
thoroughly enjoyed this.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
No, honestly, a pleasure. Like, big up to your channel. I feel like I've let you down a few times, but you
Oh, you
know,
haven't, don't worry,
nah,
it's
I feel like
fine.
honestly, like, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad we did this, and yeah, I'm just excited to kind of to kind of see where it goes. And big up to your channel, and hopefully you can get to amazing things. And yeah, keep supporting it, guys. Keep watching the content. Yeah, and thank you for having me. Honestly, thank you generally for having me on. You
Oh, you're
know,
very welcome, and it's honestly been so lovely to chat with you because you're an amazing person as well as what you do on YouTube, your content, you work very hard, but you're also a very kind person that wants to help
thank
everyone. And
you.
I think that's an amazing quality to have. So I just wanted to thank you so much. And a big thank you to all of you in the comments that have sent questions in. And yeah, it's been thoroughly enjoyable. And before we do go, please don't forget to smash that like button for me. Do subscribe, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Take care.